Well, thank you, John. Uh, Indeed, it is true. I have come to this event throughout the years, and it's not infrequently that I leave this place on my way to an automobile distributor and become the proud owner of one of the fanciest cars that I had just seen on the floor. So it's an exciting event. It's truly fascinating, and I do look forward to seeing the displays of latest technological advancements. Thank you, John, for that introduction, and it's a great pleasure to be with all of you here at really one of the premier, truly bipartisan events, the Washington Auto Show. You know, we're all fascinated with cars, these, fast cars, the new designs, the new technologies that are in the cars, and we're not stuck in traffic. You know, we love the feeling of the open road. I think it's a truly American experience to be in, a new dynamic car that displays true American technological breakthroughs. You know, driving on the open road is more than just simply driving, right? It's all about the possibilities, the opportunities, freedom that's uniquely American. And that's what we're dedicated to at the Department of Energy. And indeed, we have a great story to tell. With the power of innovation squarely in the driver's seat of our country, we are producing more energy, more abundantly and affordably, and from a wider range of sources than ever before. And it's through innovation we're using energy to more cleanly and more efficiently as well. We have seen incredible changes across the energy landscape. Today, America is the world's top producer of both oil and natural gas, and this year we expect to become a net exporter of energy. This has not occurred since the 1950s. It's truly remarkable what we have accomplished under this administration. We're also expected to reach new records in oil production for the next 2 years, producing up to 13.3 million barrels per day in 2020 and 13.7 million barrels per day in 2021. And to put that in perspective, global demand now is about 100 million barrels per day. And the United States is producing well over 10% of that each day. Think about that. This year, we'll also build on our record levels of natural gas production. We've been a net exporter of natural gas for more than 2 years, and that trend will continue through 2050. Today, we export LNG to 37 nations and counting. And by the close of this year, we will have doubled our LNG export capacity in 2 years. This means more than just energy. It means jobs, prosperity, and opportunity. We have also seen historic growth in renewable energy. Today, America is the second largest generator of wind and solar energy in the world, and our production is still rising. Our country has made significant strides in producing every form of energy, even as it has been simultaneously cleaning the air and reducing emissions. Since 2005, national greenhouse gas emissions have fallen 13%. Our power sector emissions have fallen by over 27%, according to EPA. In fact, the U.S. is the world leader in reducing energy-related carbon emissions, and those emissions are expected to decline even further the next 2 years, according to EIA. On the broader economic front, the Trump administration has enacted the largest tax cuts and reforms in U.S. history, making our business tax rate competitive with the world. We have cut more regulations than any other administration in U.S. history, with nearly 22 regulations cut for each new one created, saving families and businesses more than $300 billion per year. Our bilateral trade deals are projected to strongly increase domestic economic activity and create hundreds of thousands of new jobs. We're incredibly proud of this progress, yet we recognize there's much more we can do, especially in the transportation sector. In 2016, the transportation sector has now is now the #1 sector in greenhouse gas emissions. They have been down since 2017, but they've been 2007, but they've been gradually increasing back to the amount roughly of 2007 as our economy has improved. But today it's our #1 sector in emissions. So that's why today I'm pleased to announce at DOE we are providing almost $300 million for research and development in sustainable transportation resources and technologies, all of which are intended to provide the automobile industry and drivers with greater choices on how to meet our transportation needs. This work, which will be led by our Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, spans 3 areas: vehicular technologies, biofuels, and hydrogen fuels. The Vehicles Technologies Office will release a multi-topic funding opportunity for up to $133 million. These topics within this funding opportunity address priorities in advanced batteries and electrification, advanced engine and fuel technologies, including technologies for off-road applications, lightweight materials, new mobility technologies, energy-efficient mobility systems, and alternative fuels technology demonstrations. The second part of the funding opportunity involves the Fuel Cells Technologies Office, which will release Hydrogen at Scale New Markets funding opportunity for up to $64 million. And I'd like to point out Dr. Sunita is around here somewhere. She heads up our Office of Fuel Cells Technology, and if you have a chance, I'm sure she'd be delighted to talk to you about her hydrogen to scale projects. And Sunita, thank you for your leadership on this. This investment will support innovative hydrogen concepts that will encourage market expansion and increase the scale of hydrogen production, storage, transport, and use, including heavy-duty trucks, data centers, and steel production. And finally, the third part of the funding opportunity will include our Bioenergy Technologies Office. This office will issue a multi-topic funding opportunity for up to $100 million. These topic areas within this funding opportunity support the U.S. bioeconomy by reducing the price of drop-in biofuels, lowering the cost of biopower, and enabling high-value products from biomass or waste resources. Said another way, we are trying to develop biofuels that can take advantage of today's refining processes that use hydrocarbons. So to the extent that we can develop fuels that are bio-based, that can go right into the refining process, you can see the economies of scale that we would want to achieve. Now, in addition to this $300 million investment, our ARPA-E program has also provided some $443 million in funding to 173 projects in transportation technology over the course of its existence. And today, transportation and related storage technologies make up about 20% of ARPA-E's active program funding. To take just one example, ARPA-E's Next Car, that's Next Generation Energy Technologies for Connected and Automated On-Road Vehicles. ARPA-E is our leading department in coming up with lengthy yet insightful acronyms. They came up with one the other day. It's called Differentiate, and I cannot remember all those, but it stands for something. And they're acronyms. They're not just series of initials. Anyway, this Next Car, ARPA-E's Next Car program was among the first federal R&D efforts to focus specifically on energy efficiency in connected and automated vehicle applications. And today, software developed by Next Car funding is being evaluated for use by GM, Cummins, Toyota, and Hyundai, among others. We're making such investments for a number of important reasons. Today, the transportation is the second highest expense for American households after housing itself, and it requires nearly 30% of the energy that we use as a country. And as we know from living and working in Washington, D.C., and having to occasionally jump out of the way of these scooters that are being driven and sort of discarded around town, the transportation system is undergoing fundamental changes. Those changes offer new choices for us to meet our individual transportation needs, and that's what we'd like to see now and in the future. So in addition to the areas I've mentioned, we're also doing a great deal of work in battery research. At DOE, we're especially proud of the fact that 2 of last year's winners of the Nobel Prize in Chemistry, which was given for the development of lithium-ion batteries, were supported by DOE. This past fiscal year, we provided more than $140 million to support energy storage, and last month, we launched our Energy Storage Grand Challenge. Our goal here is to accelerate the deployment, development, and commercialization utilization of next-generation energy storage technologies, as well as to sustain America's global leadership in energy storage. As you know, batteries and electric vehicles, as well as many other essential technologies, use critical materials, and their demand is continuing to grow. However, we import most of our critical mineral commodities, which creates tremendous supply chain vulnerabilities. In response, the department is leading the way in reducing our dependence on critical materials by reducing the amount of these materials needed for battery production and recycling the materials already in use. You know, when you think about it, we recycle almost all of our lead-acid batteries. And just a few years ago, we were probably recycling less than 5% of our lithium-ion batteries. So last year, we decided to address this issue, and we dedicated the Resell Battery Recycling R&D Center and launched the Lithium-Ion Battery Recycling Prize. The goal here is to develop technologies to profitably capture 90% of all lithium-based battery technologies in the United States and recover 90% of the key materials from these collected batteries. If we can achieve this goal, we estimate that recycled material could provide 1/3 of our cathode material needs for lithium-ion batteries by 2025. Combined with a domestic upstream supply chain, this would go a long way toward reducing America's dependence on foreign sources of critical materials and minerals. And as electrification plays a greater role in our transportation system, closer coordination with utilities will be essential. That's why today I'm also pleased to announce a memorandum of understanding with the Electric Power Research Institute, known as EPRI. Now, this MOU is key because it joins our expertise and capabilities with EPRI's research and development in electric vehicle and infrastructure technologies in order to further accelerate the development and deployment of innovative electronic transportation systems. It will also further the collaboration we have with the EPRI members, these are our nation's utilities, through our partnership with US Drive, which is comprised of US automakers as well as fuel producers and the utilities, a group that has been extremely valuable in our efforts in automotive and related energy infrastructure technology R&D. Now, the MOU will enable us to work together toward a more resilient and reliable grid when you have the exchange of battery power going onto the grid and the grid powering the battery, even as we ask it to do more in the electric vehicle space. Now, the high priority areas for collaboration that we're initially focusing on will include the fast charging technologies and energy storage integration. You know, think about that, right? If most of us end up going the route of electric vehicles and we all come home at roughly the same time and we all want to recharge our batteries to head out in the evening, imagine the demand that makes on the electricity system. I mean, it's going to change our load demand. So it's important that we're able to ensure that our electric grid, our charging stations, actually are operated in such a way that we can meet the demands of the driver, the vehicle, and our grid system. It will also focus on smart charging strategies in addition to fleet electrification needs and strategies, integrating electric charging with utility planning and operations, including impacts and services to the grid and impact mitigation technologies, and using data analytics and cutting-edge technologies such as artificial intelligence and machine learning for electrification applications. So through better coordination and engagement, I'm optimistic that we can not only overcome technological challenges, but change energy and the transportation landscape. And our partners, including our 17 national labs, universities, and private sector, are absolutely essential in our efforts to make this happen. I've noted our work with EPRI and the U.S. Drive Coalition, and just last week, our Oak Ridge National Lab signed an agreement with the University of Tennessee and Volkswagen to create the company's first innovation hub in North America. The hub will initially be focused on developing lighter vehicle components made from composites and electrification of vehicles. In addition to our work on carbon composites, we're doing a great deal of work with our partners in advanced manufacturing. This was a focus of one of our previous Innovation X Lab summits. The Innovation X Lab summits is something that we have come up with at DOE in an attempt to educate the people, industry, about the work that our 17 national labs do. Our national labs are indeed been described as the crown jewels of their nations in leading the world in science and technological innovation. And so we thought it would be a great idea to showcase these labs on topics of importance, of interest. And so we've begun a series of these. We began with storage technologies out in California. In Seattle, we had one on grid modernization. We've had one on advanced manufacturing at Oak Ridge, 3D printing. And then we've had one in Chicago, the University of Chicago, and argon, featuring argon and Fermi on our work in quantum. So we're striving to use our great strengths in supercomputing. Our labs, we have 2 of the world's fastest supercomputers and 4 of the top 10 to take on these tough manufacturing challenges that can be solved through computer modeling. One focus of our efforts is the High Performance Computing for Energy Innovation program. This is a consortium of 9 of our national labs led by Lawrence Livermore in California, which partners with the private sector to leverage our world-class computing resources to make manufacturing advances. We're also dedicated to becoming a world-leading enterprise in research, development, and adoption of artificial intelligence. Now, to make that happen and to coordinate our tremendous array of artificial intelligence activities, we recently announced the creation of our Artificial Intelligence and Technology Office, known as AITO. Today, we lead more than 600 different AI projects to strengthen our core missions of energy, cybersecurity, and national security, and to accelerate scientific discovery. Artificial intelligence will also advance work in autonomous vehicles and smart cities, and may even offer a way around and through some of our most vexing traffic dilemmas, although no matter how smart and sophisticated they become, I'm not sure they're capable about figuring out the challenges of our beltway around our nation's capital. And as I mentioned the Innovation X Labs before, I'd like to announce too that next week we'll be having our next Innovation X Lab. This will be at our Berkeley lab, which will be focused on ways that we can better engage with industry in the area of biomanufacturing to create the products and jobs and even the industries of tomorrow. To give you a couple of examples about anticipating and addressing the problems of today and creating jobs of tomorrow, we recently announced a Plastics Innovation Challenge, which will create a comprehensive program to accelerate innovations that dramatically reduce plastic waste in oceans and landfills, as well as position the U.S. to be a global leader in advanced plastics recycling technologies and in the manufacturing of new plastics that are recyclable by design. We aim to develop commercially viable processes to ensure that we have a future circular economy to never again leave to our next generation environmental matters to clean up. And as part of the $100 million bioenergy funding announcement that I had mentioned earlier, we'll work on innovative and affordable ways to sort municipal solid waste, remove contaminants, and generate material streams that can be recycled to new fuels and products such as plastics that can be used in these vehicles. We'll also establish a multi-university partnership for developing innovative technologies to manage major forms of urban and suburban waste, which will focus on developing new strategies for transforming plastic waste into finished products. And as we do so, we're driving biology and biomanufacturing to develop new organisms and biological processes that use carbon dioxide to produce fuels and chemicals. Indeed, these are great challenges and will take great efforts. But tackling great challenges often creates greater opportunities, and that is emphatically our mission at the Department of Energy, addressing America's greatest energy challenges through transformative science and technology. And that's also our country at its best, firmly in the driver's seat with the technologies of tomorrow, a wide and open road ahead. Thank you for having me here today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I look forward to seeing you on the floor later today looking at today's technologies. Thank you very much.